Welcome back to Success with Steven. My name is Steven Smith. On this channel, we discuss all things financial literacy. So today is going to be the third and final installment of a series of videos that I've been releasing on this LightStream loan hack. And 1 year ago, I released a video and I was approved for $30,000 for a used auto loan that, again, for all intents and purposes, is in fact a personal loan. And then a few months after that, or exactly 91 days after that, I got approved for a second loan using the same method for another $40,000. Now, I knew that the total exposure for this particular bank was going to be $100,000. So I wanted to see how long it would take me to get approved for the final $30,000. And I am happy to say that I have been approved for that final $30,000. And now I hit the max exposure amount of $100,000. So today we'll be going over the strategy, how I achieve this, and how you can achieve that same result if you follow these steps. This was a no documentation loan. The funds were deposited into my bank account within less than 24 hours. And when I originally applied, it was after business hours. I was approved around 8 a.m. Pacific Standard Time the following day, and the funds were deposited into my account around 1 p.m. the very next day. So I'm going to give you more details about this company once again, and the data points that you can use to get approved. And without further ado, let's get right into the video. So if you're a first-time viewer or this is your first time hearing about this loan, it's been a lot of people that have covered this. I don't know if anybody has actually been approved for the full $100,000 or they've documented the process as I have. As you guys know, all of my videos I do on my own. These are strategies that are not hypothetical. I didn't make it up. I actually did everything that I discuss on my channel. So LightStream is heavily focused on individuals with good to excellent credit. So if your credit score is around, like, let's say a 680 and above, then this loan may be a good option for you. And if you go directly to LightStream's website and you click on loans in the FAQs, it actually tells you the exact same thing. It says this loan is for people with good to excellent credit, but it says that your credit score doesn't necessarily have to be, the only determining factor. Now, I will say a couple months ago, they actually did show you what credit score that you needed. And I believe it was a 680 credit score with TransUnion, but I have seen people get approved with scores as low as like around 660. And it's possibly maybe you can get approved with a lower score than that, but it's hard to say. Now, if you're still working on your credit right now, I recommend that you watch my credit repair playlist. I have videos that I've been making since 2024. If you guys know my story, I started with like a 400 some odd credit score. I cleaned my credit up. I built business credit. I established all these different sources of income. And I mean, now it's definitely really good. My credit score is around an 800. I'm probably going to gross around $500,000 this year. And that's going to be, for a take home. And that's from my business. And I'm starting another business next year. I'll be updating some of these credit repair videos, so you will get updated strategies for 2026. But for now, check out that playlist if your score is like, let's say, sub 600. I do think it can be very helpful to you. I would say the only drawback with LightStream is that it doesn't have a pre-qualified offer, so you can't see if you're approved for this loan without taking a hard inquiry. But as you guys know, I do have videos on how to remove hard inquiries. Time frames are taking a little bit longer, but as I said, I'm working on some new videos right now where I've been testing some strategies. It just takes me a while to do that because I actually have to get hard inquiries, apply for things, remove it. And, it takes time for me to actually establish things. And then I try them multiple times in order to actually know that it could work for, multiple people, different accounts, like different banks, things like that. So I should have something by, I would say, January or February of 2026. Now let's go over the qualification data points for LightStream. They will be, once again, a TransUnion FICO 8 hard pull. And I do recommend a credit score of 680 or higher. TransUnion is very sensitive to recent debt. So if you do have any accounts that you just applied for, like let's say a new credit card, a new personal loan, a new auto loan, maybe wait like 3 to 6 months before you apply for this. I would say at least 3 months, so 90 days, and then apply. If you get denied because of recent accounts or recent debt, wipe the hard inquiry, wait 3 more months, and then you can try again. The minimum loan amount that you can get with LightStream is $5,000, and the max amount is $100,000. They also have terms from 12 months to 144 months, and currently at the time of recording this video, the minimum APR is 6.24%, and the max is 24.89%. Of course, it depends on the loan that you're looking at. You can also get a 0.50% auto pay discount when you sign up for auto pay before loan acceptance. I highly recommend that you do that. It will actually save you a lot of money. Now, let's go over the strategy and how you can potentially replicate exactly what I did. So to begin, the application process with LightStream, you have to go to their official website, and that's going to be at lightstream.com. Once you're on the site, select the option for an individual application, not a joint or co-sign application. And when prompted, you want to choose the used auto loan purchase and make sure that you indicate that the purchase is from a dealer and not a private seller. And there's one more important thing to note here. LightStream does not verify or request the vehicle title during the process, which can streamline things considerably. Next, you want to input the amount that you want to borrow and select your preferred loan term. So for example, you could choose to borrow $30,000 with a repayment term of, let's say, 60 months. Just keep in mind that your loan term won't impact your interest rate, so feel free to choose what works best for you or your monthly budget. And for your first loan with LightStream, I recommend requesting between $20,000 and, let's say, $40,000. If you manage this loan well, then you may qualify for a higher amount on your second loan, i.e., that's how I went from $30,000 on the first one and $40,000 on the second one. If you want, you can follow my exact same cadence. You will be prompted to set up auto pay, and during this step, you'll enter your checking account details that allow for both the transfer of the funds and the setup of the automatic payments. So you want to make sure that you use a personal checking account and not a business account for this process. It'll go into that account, and that's the same account that they will actually withdraw the payments from. You'll also need to input your personal details, including your full name, your current address, your income, and your employment information. Now, when it comes to reporting income, LightStream tends to approve applicants faster when their income falls between $100,000 and $175,000 annually. This doesn't mean that you should lie about your income, but if you're within this range, it often reduces the chance of being asked to provide documentation. Now, if you legitimately make more than $175,000 and you can prove it, you can report your actual income. I just want to stress this because in my situation, I put exactly what I made, and it's also based off of debt to income ratios. So you don't want to put that you make so much money if you really can't prove it. You want to put actually what you make. And sometimes, if I'm being honest with you, the reason why you're declined is because based on what you put and the amount you're asking for, you may not actually be able to afford to pay that back, and it's for your protection. It doesn't make sense to take on more than you can actually feasibly pay back. So I'm not saying take on $100,000 of a loan if you don't have a plan for it, or if you just have this idea you're gonna maybe use it to start a business or to do something. I don't recommend that. But again, this is just for entertainment purposes only. You do whatever you want to do, but that's just my personal recommendation. I don't think that you should take more than what you can actually pay back. Now, when selecting your employment type, you want to choose employed. Even if you're technically self-employed, you can always use your LLC's name as your employer. That's exactly what I did because I'm an employee of my company and I pay myself. I run my own payroll, and it gets deducted out my business account and goes into my personal account for a legal separation between my personal and business assets. And the reason why I would avoid you selecting self-employed is because it will almost always trigger a document verification process. And by stating that you're employed by a company or your LLC, you can often bypass that extra layer of scrutiny. You'll also be asked to report your monthly housing cost, and this should reflect your actual rent or mortgage payment. Additionally, LightStream will ask about the balances in your checking and savings account, and I would only input what you can actually verify. Once again, if they just so happen to ask, you want to know that you can verify this. So if you have like retirement assets like a 401k, then include that as well, but don't fabricate those numbers if you don't actually have them, because then it may prevent you from getting this loan in the future. Even if maybe you got the first one, you may not be able to get the second or the third. Before submitting the application, make sure you have a valid Visa, Discover, MasterCard available for verification. And as far as I know, it should be a credit card. Now, people have asked me, can you use a debit card? And honestly, I'm not sure. You have to give them a phone call and just ask them. Maybe you can. You also want to ensure, like, once again, when you submit this application, unfreeze your TransUnion credit report. They almost always choose that. If it's frozen, it will just delay this application process. Once everything is filled out and submitted, your application will be reviewed, and approval times vary, but typically range from 2 hours to, I would say, 1 week. But don't expect an immediate decision. It's common for LightStream to take some time before issuing your final approval, but in my personal situation, it always happened within about 24 hours. Now, if you're doing this for the first time, I space my application approximately 91 days apart between the first and second loan. So I'm actually gonna log into the website so I can show you guys all of this, so you can see that, everything, I've gotten all of this. The first one was, I believe, in November of 2024. And then 91 days after that, I got the second loan around February. Now, after this, I really couldn't get approved for anything. I couldn't get approved for no more personal loans because I had one with Navy Federal, and then I had some other stuff. I think I just maxed out my debt to income ratio for most lenders. And so throughout 2025, if you look at my videos, you rarely ever saw me talk about getting credit cards or loans or anything, until towards the end of this year. I started getting loan offers from other places, and then I was like, oh, okay, with like SoFi being one of them. And I'm like, oh, I guess I made enough payments, or I've paid down my other loans enough that I guess my debt to income ratio has freed up. And then because of that, I've been getting approved for other stuff, which led me to do this. Now, for the third loan, I was denied several times, again, in between this time, and I was approved after approximately 9 months. Now, I was applying after like 6 months. I was applying every month, and I stopped for a little bit. So it actually may be after, I would say 6 to 7, it could be 8. But if you just want to follow my exact same pattern, I did it after 9 months. So there's a couple of ways that you can look at this. Again, for me, I just try stuff. I take in information, and then I provide it. I try to give it out in a strategy in a very seamless and easy way to replicate. So if you were to, let's say, apply for this loan in December of 2025, then I would recommend that March of 2026, you then apply for the second one. After that, I would wait until December of 2025 to apply for the third one. And that kind of gives you a timeline that you can look at this. Now, I don't know if I was able to get it because I paid down so many loans, or because you have to wait a year from the first one, because technically it was about 12 months from my first one that I got approved for the third one. I have no idea, but I do know that, again, this did work for me. Now, I want to go over some scenarios in case maybe you run into this. Let's say that you actually get like an email or message, or they ask you something, or they ask you to call, all right? Let's say that LightStream asks you to actually call to verify some information. They might ask you if you plan to use like your second loan to pay off the first one or something like that. Just make sure that you always answer no. And second, they may ask whether you intend to close out your first loan. Then again, I recommend that you respond with no. And finally, they could request that you provide 2 documents as proof of income, and the appropriate answer here is yes. Always answer yes. Again, they may ask you to call, or they may email you or contact you in some way, form, or fashion. This is the way I would answer these questions. So I just basically want to give myself as a use case for anyone who's watching this right now, again, who wants to try and do this. This is exactly what happened with me. My credit score at the time is over 800, but again, I was denied for several months without, with an 800 credit score. So I'm not sure if that really matters. I think as long as you have a 680 and a clean TransUnion credit profile, no charge-offs, no late payments, no collections, no bankruptcies. So if you ask me in the comments, I'm just going to say the answer's in the video. No, you shouldn't have any derogatory marks. That will hold you back. If you don't have that, then I would not see why you wouldn't be able to do this, as long as you have the appropriate debt to income ratio. meaning you do have to make the amount of money to be able to afford to pay back these loans. Now, before we go to the website and I actually show you my account, I just want to go over some use cases for this loan. And you can use this LightStream auto loan once again as an unsecured personal loan, and the funds can be used for just about anything. I personally recommend using this for it. Let's say you're doing debt consolidation. I don't think that's the worst thing. If you want to consolidate all of, like, let's say your credit card balances, you want to pay them off and you want to get a low APR, then I think that that is a reasonable thing to do with this. If you want to use it for, let's say, some sort of business expense, I'm not always certain that that's the best thing to do, depending on exactly, what you're doing. If you have experience in a business, if it's already cash flowing, if everything's good and you're making money, then maybe. But if you're not making money and this is supposed to be your seed money, I don't recommend that. I really don't, because if you've never done something before, you can't say for sure that it's going to work. And in my opinion, the best business that you can start is the one that you do without having to borrow money to do it. If it takes a little bit of capital to get started, pay it out of your earned income, get a job, do whatever the case may be, use your own money, prove to yourself that you can make money. And if this money will help you scale to do more, then great. But if you don't know, if you've never done anything, again, that's just my personal opinion. Don't do it, because I've seen too many times. I deal with this all the time. This is actually how people end up talking to me about their credit and about their credit being damaged, because they over leveraged and did something they had no idea how to actually do. I have plenty of videos on here that actually talk about financial literacy and actually talk about how to start a business, how to market, how to build a brand, how to go from $0 to actually making money. Again, I've documented all this. I've done it myself. It's on this channel. If you want to learn more, check out my business credit playlist. Everything is in there. Or check out any of my videos on here about starting a small business, starting I don't really like the word side hustle, but starting like a gig or something on the side to get you started, or to get you at least the funds that you need to start something a little bit better than just a side hustle or a little side gig. All right, guys. So currently I am logged into my LightStream account. As you can see, my original loan was for $30,000. Oh, I'm sorry, that's not my original loan. I'm sorry, that's the current one. It was for $30,000. The interest rate was 8.79% with a loan term of 84 months. And the funding date was November 25th of 2025. And then here is the second one. Yeah, number 2. It's $40,000 with a interest rate of 10.04%. Loan term is 72 months. And the funding date was February 25th, 2025. And then the original one was November 26th of 2024. The loan term was 84 months. The interest rate was 10.79%. And if we look at the dates, November 26th, it was exactly like almost a year that I got approved for this one, which I didn't time that. That just happened accidentally. So, it's just a coincidence. But if we add all of these up, obviously 30 and 30 is 60, and then it's 40. So that's the total amount of $100,000. And this is the total exposure that you can have with LightStream. You can't actually get any more than this. All right. I want to thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you do have any questions about LightStream, if there's something that I missed, then you can drop that in the comments below. I'd be more than happy to answer any questions based off of my experience. I probably won't do many more videos on this particular bank unless, let's say, I pay off my loans, and I plan to probably pay all 3 of them off, more than likely by sometime either at the beginning of 2026 or even the middle, because I don't really need to have them open, and I may be looking at purchasing a home soon, so I need to bring down my debt to income ratio. So all of my loans, I've made back my money already. Really, I can pay them all off now. If you guys want to know what happens when you pay them all off and can you do this again, then I'll definitely be more than happy to make a video on something like that. I could try again for a higher amount, kind of, play with this and let you know exactly what happens. If you would like to see something like that, drop that in the comments below. But for now, this is probably going to be it. Now, if you want, I can link my original videos at the end of this one. I might do that. or you'll see them on the screen and you can click on them. The first one is 30,000, the second one is 40,000. You can choose which one you want to watch depending on where you are at in this process currently. Or again, I'll link them at the end of this video, and you can click the timestamps that are going to be in the description of the video, and you can just pick and choose where you want to go. Once again, thank you guys so much for watching this video, and you have a wonderful day.